You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Welcome to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm Lynn Golodner, and I've dedicated my life to sharing stories of how people make meaning in their work and find purpose in their lives. On this podcast, we're going to talk about some of the great ideas and activities people do every day to make the world a better place and provide inspiration for others. So much of the meaning we find comes from interacting with great people, developing relationships that are mutually beneficial, and doing work that inspires everyone. I hope you'll be inspired by the people you meet here. We all need to find a way to make meaning in the mundane. Welcome back, everyone. With me this week, I am so delighted to have Kelli Dobner, Chief Advancement Officer of Samaritas, which is one of Michigan's largest nonprofits serving people through programs for seniors, families, children in foster care, refugees, persons with disabilities, women leaving incarceration, affordable living, and so much more. Samaritas is an amazing organization, and Kelli Dobner is someone who inspires me every time I work with her. First of all, she has boundless energy and a contagious spirit. But secondly, it's her approach to her work that truly inspires me. When Kelli came to Samaritas in 2017, she set about creating a culture of ambassadorship, and I'm excited to talk with her about this today on the podcast. Kelli has degrees in communication and public relations and was recognized in 2016 as an Oakland County Elite 40 Under 40. She has received many awards for her strategic work in development and communications, and she's great at building strategic, authentic relationships. Kelli, welcome to the Make Meaning podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Lynn. It's truly an honor to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. You've been on my list the whole time because I'm amazed at what you've done in the short time that we've worked together, and I know you've done so many things before you came to Samaritas. But I want to start with that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about culture. So I want to ask you how we can even define culture, especially for an organization like Samaritas, which is quite large. 2,000 employees around the state?
Yes.
So how do you define culture? What is that even?
Oh, that's a really good question. That's a loaded question.
Sorry, right out of the starting gate. We're starting with the hard one, right?
Right. Well, culture and building culture is my passion.
Mm-hmm.
It involves people and a being and a mantra and something that people can get behind.
Uh-huh.
And so when you have an organization as large as Samaritas, both in number of employees and geographic region, it's a particularly interesting challenge to tackle.
Sure.
And that was the first thing that I saw when I came on board was the opportunity to unify rather than have separate organizations around the state that just all happen to have the same name. Is really how we were operating. And Samaritas is not exclusive of that. For sure. You see it a lot of places.
Yeah.
And so the concept of Samaritas Nation was really born in that culture of ambassadorship. So when I say, you want to plant your flag and rally the troops behind it, it's really symbolic, but that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard you say Samaritas Nation before, and the phrase is, be the rock that starts the ripple of transformation, which ties into, your tagline and your mission and all of that, which is brilliant. And I'm a word person, so I love that, you could take a couple simple words and just use them to transform perspective and commitment,
Yes.
And I've seen, I've worked with Samaritas since 2012. And so, and they're amazing people who've been there the whole time. But I saw in the time you've been there, this like renewed energy and passion to be a part of it. And, I see people in their emails, saying things like "Be the Rock" or Samaritas Nation, and they're just it's like cheerleaders. It's so cool what you've created.
It is so much fun.
So tell me what you did? Like, take me through the process, and like that's a big task. So how do you break it down into tangible activities that people can get on board with?
I think the main word I always focus on is intentionality.
Okay.
It can be organic. It should be organic. A culture's not something you necessarily shove down people's throats.
Right.
It's something that they see, they mimic, they start using in their own way without being asked.
Sure.
And that was the whole point. Setting that example, this is what we're talking about here. This is the face of Samaritas, and used it in everything that we could, from language to outright making a fool of myself.
Oh, like being a rock?
Yeah.
I
forgot
had to bring
about
that up.
one, but you're right. Yes.
So tell the listeners what you did. I just loved that. Oh my goodness.
That's right. Well, Samaritas happens to be on the marathon route for the Detroit Free Press Marathon.
Yeah.
And so we had a cheer station that was a little over the top. We had the marathoners and the half marathoners come by us. So we had a DJ and we had costumes and high fives and dancers and just the whole nine. And so I made a life-size rock costume that I wore and danced around for, I am not kidding, easily 7 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't lift my arms above my head afterwards because I was cheering the whole time. And on the rock, it said, "Be the Rock."
Oh, I love it.
I love it. And I'll tell you, runners ran by and they were cheering us on.
Oh my gosh.
Which is ridiculous for one thing, but it just shows that's how you can just organically spread a message and it turns into a culture.
Well, but you did it by example. And that's what you said earlier is that leading by example, you can't just say, here's the culture, go do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. You
Definitely.
know, so just showing that you're buying into it, you're on board, you're embodying it, and then people can be inspired by that.
Yes.
You know, have you gotten feedback on it? Like, are people saying, are they adding to it? You know, like what are the sort of the messages you're getting?
Absolutely. I am actually quite taken aback at how quickly this has caught on.
Yeah.
And so proud of all of the people that I work with, both internally and externally, that support the organization. So yes, one of the biggest examples, I just love it. We had our foster care day at Comerica Park this last year.
Right.
And I didn't ask for it. I didn't even know about it till afterwards. They put on the Jumbotron foster care rocks. Samaritas is the rock that starts the ripple.
Oh,
and that was on
chills.
the Jumbotron.
Oh my gosh.
At Comerica Park. So there are so many different creative ways that people are embracing and implementing this culture.
That is so cool.
Yes.
That's really cool. So, well, I mean, kudos to you because I am just blown away by how you took a really big task and you made it happen and you transformed a lot of people who are transforming communities. And that's just incredible. You know,
it's a story that had to be told.
It
honestly.
is. And some people have worked for Samaritas for a long time. And I see like a new energy and appreciation for their job because of this culture that you've built. There's something that they're a part of that really matters, you know?
Well, and the funny thing about that is it's so cyclical. It was inspired by them who had been doing this work all of this time.
Right.
And that was really the inspiration behind Be the Rock message and culture. So it's definitely come full circle.
Yes. So I want to take it back a little bit because I have your resume and I know all of your history, but I'm curious about how you got on this path. You know, did you, how did you get into fundraising and development and even, you know, building culture like that? Like, was there an inspiration early on or something that you saw at an earlier position or?
It's funny because I went into public relations. That's what I thought I really wanted to do. And I'm
like shaking my head.
Yeah. And now I know better. I'm not as good as I thought. And I've had some, you know, those conversations that shape you. Mm-hmm. They're some of the hardest conversations you have in the moment.
Right.
And then you look back and they just help to define who you were or who you became rather. And I met with a prominent PR firm lead in Detroit early in my career. And she said, why do you want to work in this firm and why PR? And I said, well, I really love people. I love inspiring people. I love being inspired by people. I love connecting people. And I went on this whole soapbox thing. And she said, honey, you're in the wrong field. You need to know how to write and you need to know how to write well. It's not about people in this field. Right?
Well, that's a shame because it can be, but yes, I get it. Right. It should be, but okay, that's another episode.
Right. Well, at 20, when you're hearing this and you thought you had your whole career figured out,
right?
You're thinking, okay, well, maybe not. And then I started an internship that turned into a job in fundraising.
Okay.
Actually at the Detroit Zoo, and I fell in love with fundraising and that whole public piece of it as well. It was more than just fundraising. It was more than PR. And I went to Los Angeles to do that, came back to do some more of it. And it's always been in the fundraising vein.
Okay.
But you mentioned earlier, my degrees are in communications and PR.
Right.
So I met with, I went on another interview at one point for a fundraising position.
Okay.
And had another life-changing moment where the person told me, you're not a fundraiser and you really need to consider what you're doing. You're a communications person.
Huh.
I said, and I adamantly fought this person in an interview.
Huh.
And said, no, I'm not. I've been doing
what I love
this
about you.
It's like, I'm telling you why I belong here. I've been raising money for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I've never forgotten that conversation because he was right.
Yeah.
He's right. But I use that communications for good in telling stories and fundraising. And I don't know how to not marry those two.
Well, I mean, and words matter so much. And so saying development versus fundraising is a really big difference.
Yeah.
So fundraising is so limited and it's just like you need to find the money. But development, is such an expansive word. And you're thinking about, or advancement, chief advancement officer. And I feel like advancement and development can sort of be interchangeable, but
yes,
they're forward moving, they're bigger picture. And how could you raise money without communicating?
Right.
How could you do it without marketing or telling stories? I think they have to go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, and that's the funny thing. So you mentioned the culture of ambassadorship earlier. That was really born out of people's fear of fundraising.
Really?
Yes. Working with boards, working with program partners, because everybody's a partner in telling the story and bringing people closer to the mission. So the whole impetus was money follows mission.
Absolutely.
You have to engage people first in the mission.
Yes.
I don't want you going out there to talk to anybody about raising money.
Right.
I want you sharing your passion and your fire for what you do here as a board member, as a staff person, whatever that is. And make introductions. Just introduce people to that passion as ambassadors.
Okay.
And that's the whole idea behind it. And it makes it easy. It makes it fun. And again, you throw that fool factor into that and the sky's the limit of the people you can engage.
If you dress up as a rock, anything is possible, right?
That is the new t-shirt. Yes.
I'll be your rock, whatever it is. I love it. Well, I think that you're really describing word of mouth marketing, you know, and I do think, all the marketing research is that you have to be touched by a brand an average of 7 times before you take action. But the one that really puts you over the edge is that personal touch. So it's your neighbor, your friend, your sister, somebody that you really trust says, you got to go check this out, or you have to give to them, or you have to get involved. And that's when you do.
Right.
So it's ambassadorship, which is a much better term, but it's word of mouth marketing, isn't it?
It sure is. Yes. You've nailed it.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And it's funny because, and now it's for the first time ever, and I can't believe I'm not getting this before, but I'm seeing why advancement and marketing go together, which I didn't see before. And I'm like, oh, brilliant, light bulb just went on. But yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, okay, yeah, you're working with a slow one here. But, So I wanted to ask you, you talked a little bit in the pre-interview about being in the moment and how important that is and connecting people. And I was wondering, how do you find time or ability to focus on the moment when so many people are demanding your attention and also so many different projects at once? So how do you have any advice for listeners about how can you be in that moment when everything's happening,
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I've had 3 meetings leading up to today and everyone has taken a complete turn going towards, I think, prepping for this exact interview and this conversation because they've all been about that subject matter and the meaning. How do you find meaning in your interactions and this crazy life that we're in?
Yeah.
And so it is a commitment and it's nothing I've even close to mastered. I will work at it for my entire life. With all the distractions and demands, you have absolutely no choice but to intentionally put it down.
Right.
You have to put it down and be wherever you are with that person, with that project. Predominantly, I'm saying person because it's very easy to get distracted and people don't feel important that way. And when you're in the moment, fully committed and you're intentional about it, meaning happens.
Yes.
It just does. And it takes it to new levels that wouldn't happen otherwise. And so you have to be fully committed to it. We have rules now. No cell phones, no computers in meetings.
I love it. That's great because nobody's paying attention.
No.
They're emailing people and they're checking their Facebook and whatever,
Right.
So,
you miss magic of moments because magic happens every day and it absolutely can. And if you're not looking for that in every encounter,
yes,
you're missing so much.
It's funny. I have always worked at home. And so when my kids were little, that was just a practical thing that I didn't have to have childcare, and they could be watching Elmo or they could be playing with their toys or whatever. And it was fine. And if they were talking, I'd be like, yes, honey. Yes, honey. And now that they're teenagers, I'm typing or I'm doing something and they're talking to me and I'm like, uh-huh. And they're like, Mom, are you listening? And I have to stop and take my hands off the keyboard and look at them and realize that they need my presence. And so, you have to disengage from whatever it is you're doing. And I think that, that's really how you capture those moments and you have those relationships that build purpose and confidence also. But, I think that, it's easy to get distracted. Even if you're sitting at a computer and you check your email, okay, you're off in another zone.
Yes.
Because you could have been working on something and you're like, oh, I'll just check and see. And now I'm answering the email and I'm looking for the file they need and I'm doing something else. And you've forgotten the project too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
I'm really good at guiding clients in like, oh, you should only check email at like 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. But I don't ever follow that advice,
Right.
But it's easy to lose focus. And I think being present is so crucial.
Absolutely. It's everything.
Yes, it absolutely is. So you're a busy mom and career woman and you lead a large organization. And I wonder how you juggle everything.
Yeah, I don't. I guess that's the easiest way to describe that.
No, that's a lie because I see your Facebook and you go to your kids' sporting events and you're there and, you do it all.
You have to. You have to. It's an old adage and you see it in a lot of places that, when you die, I don't want to waltz across, into the next life. I want to be absolutely exhausted, sliding in at the last minute. And today you have to live that way.
Yeah.
But that's why that commitment to being in the moment and setting boundaries.
Yes.
Is really important too. And I've looked at it a little differently. I had a conversation today just about the boundaries and I said, I don't know boundaries. I don't respect boundaries. I don't set boundaries. And it's something I'm working on because having them is not a bad thing. And there's no shame in it. And there's no shame in taking time for all aspects of your life. In fact, I feel a lot of times the most important parts of our lives that we should be leading get the least amount of our dedication and time.
Interesting.
We were talking about that today with the I told you, today was a day of leading up to this moment.
Yes.
We have a strategic plan at work and we're really intentional about what we do in our day-to-day job and making sure you're successful and sticking to this plan and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And at home, do you do the same thing at home or do we check the box at home?
Right.
Because it's easier.
Right.
And
that's so interesting. A strategic plan for home.
Yeah.
What would that even look like? It's a fascinating concept.
I think writing it down matters.
Yes.
When you write it down, it becomes real.
Yes.
And then following that up with that commitment and that intentionality.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Wow.
It's the same thing. And so I'm going to try that.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'm going to give that some thought. That's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
My husband may not appreciate that, but I think this weekend will be interesting. So I want to ask you said your 3 symbols of life, a table, a blanket, a scale. Tell me what that is.
Oh, so when life gets crazy and things are swirling around you, I like to talk and think in sound bites and symbols because it brings me back to center immediately.
Okay.
And so to me, a table is just this symbol of togetherness. Things happen around a table. People come together. Ideas are shared. Relationships are created. There's meaning there.
Absolutely.
And so I think a table, there's a lot to be said for a table. A blanket is that all-encompassing comfort piece. We all need comfort. We all need peace. And that is that universal symbol for that.
Yep.
And then the scale represents the balance and that constant reminder of, all right, you are skewing this scale way too much on this side. You need to really bring it back in check.
Interesting.
And to me, those 3 are my trifecta that help keep me centered in what I care about.
I love that. I love those symbols. So listeners, pay attention. You should think about your 3 symbols because that is really meaningful. That's a huge guiding light. I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. So, you're so focused on teamwork and you've really built strong teams. And I love how you direct to other people. Like this is their terrain. This is what they're doing. And sometimes that's out of necessity because you can't do everything yourself. But I see you empower your team to take ownership of their roles and their tasks. And I wonder, how you inspire people to truly work together for the greater good. Because it can be hard to merge relationships and personalities and everybody be focused on the same purpose, you know?
Yes, so true. That's very difficult to do. I think what we have found to be really successful with our team at Samaritas, and certainly other teams that I've been a part of, because there have been some pretty magical ones, and Samaritas is no different, is playing to people's strengths. And taking time to recognize them. So we start every single one of our team meetings. It's a standing agenda item entitled You Rock.
Okay.
And we share what we appreciate and what we care about each other.
I love that.
And the strengths that they bring to the team, to the organization, to each other.
Okay.
And taking time to do that every week.
Uh-huh.
And taking the time to get together and have fun.
Yes.
It's very easy to get bogged down in the to-dos.
Sure.
But learning who each other is and building that team.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, for our team building, two things that have been great. We went to an escape room.
Ooh.
And had to work together.
Okay.
And that was fun. And then have you ever seen those sports photos where a team gets together and they look like they're just going to kick the other team's rear end and you get off the field?
Yeah.
And they're all serious. We did the same thing for our team.
Oh my
we all were
gosh.
in our Samaritas colors. We had props and we were looking the competition fierce in the eye. I don't know what the competition is. There is no competition. We're all mission here. But so we have those made into posters and everybody has that. And it's the dream team.
Yeah.
And,
I love that.
And so just reminding everybody about positive intent. Having positive intent just means everything in this world of, we were talking about earlier, gossiping and tea, you know, and all that I learned from you today.
I have to credit my teenagers. Sorry, I'm not that cool. Yeah.
That just matters. That positive intent in relationship building and the understanding of how we're all creating meaning together.
Yes.
It grounds us. It brings you together and makes you a much stronger team, and knowing you have each other's back.
Yeah. I think also face to face or voice to voice, because it is so easy to misinterpret an email or a text. And like that positive intent, you know, assuming the best. Like, I think this person's not yelling at me. I think they're just trying to be direct or say some information and get on with it. And so I'm going to pick up the phone, or I'm going to go see them, and that's going to do good. And I think it always does, you know?
It does. It does. And just being in the mix with everybody, you know, nobody's above anything.
Right.
And being in it together. You know, I learn from my team every single day. That positive intent, that comes from my team. The You Rock, that comes from my team. And they teach me so much every day.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap up soon, but one other thing I wanted to ask you about Samaritas that I am always impressed by is that it's very mission driven, really tied closely to the mission, and unapologetically, you know, like, this is a faith-based organization, but yet everybody is welcome regardless of your faith or your persuasion or your discipline or whatever your perspective is. And that's really a balance. It's towing the line of saying, here's who we are and we're not going to apologize for it, but everybody's welcome here. And so how do you achieve those two stances and wear them well, you know?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a difficult question. We are still trying to figure out every day, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's true. We want to be really strong in who we are. We're celebrating 85 years this year. We've been around for a long time. Yes. Yes. 85 years of impact. And so being true to our roots, but who we are today and who we want to be tomorrow and the people we want to serve. I think for me, the messaging that goes into that is not necessarily faith specific.
Right.
Although, because it means something different to everybody.
Sure.
But really grounded in what that means for every person that we touch.
Sure.
And that touches us as an organization.
Yeah.
Because it is different for everybody. We're doing so much with so many different faiths and so many different groups that it's really cool to see this mixing pot of people. But you're right. Nobody gets offended. Nobody apologizes.
Right.
And we're all there together, because at the end of the day, whether it's Christ or it's not, we're all there serving people.
Yes.
And for the sake of humanity and bettering each other.
Well, mutual benefit, mutual respect. And the goal is always to uplift. You know, I've never heard anybody at Samaritas say something negative or judgmental about another person, whether it's a colleague or a client. And even if somebody's in a vulnerable situation and you're there to help them come out of that vulnerable situation, it's the belief that everybody's on equal footing and that there's a better day for everyone tomorrow. And so, once you get there, you'll help someone by paying it forward. And it's really easy to get on board with that kind of mission. It's inspiring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Kelli Dobner, as we wrap up today, are there any last thoughts you have for our listeners about, how to make meaning in your work or find purpose in your life, or any last advice you'd like to give?
Yeah, I think so much of what we've talked about is be in the moment, be committed, take risks, make a fool of yourself. You
Dress
never
up
know.
like a rock.
Yes. You never
Yes.
know what path that's going to lead you down, or the best learning moments are usually the most painful ones, and make yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
And whether it's at Samaritas or not, be the rock that starts that ripple, because once your rock drops, it goes deep.
Yeah.
And you don't know how far your ripple is going to go, or that potential that you're going to help somebody else realize.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, Kelli Dobner, Chief Advancement Officer of Samaritas and a friend that I love to work with. Thank you so much for being on the Make Meaning podcast with me today.
Oh, likewise. Thank you, Lynn.
Yeah. I'm Lynn Golodner. Tune in next time for the Make Meaning podcast. Thanks for listening to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm Lynn Golodner, and I've really enjoyed being here with you today. You can find the Make Meaning podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and I'd love it if you'd share our great conversations with all your people so we can add meaning wherever we go and whatever we do.